YouTube, what's up? It's me, Lucas. Welcome, crew, to the first ever episode of Should You Cook This? Okay. Maybe it's not exactly the first episode of Should You Cook This, but, you know, if you want to check out the first two, there's a link somewhere on the screen. There's maybe a little video of it. But let's admit it, those two, they were clusterfucks. Now, onwards and forwards. Today we are going to make what is called Lamberts throwed rolls. Now I know what you're probably saying. Why do they call them throwed rolls? Do you throw the dough to make them? No. Do you throw all the ingredients into a bowl like a basketball? No, but now that I think about it, that would make for a really, really entertaining cooking show. Then why are they called throwed rolls, Lucas? Well, let me tell you. We're gonna get a little intimate now. Mike, get that camera real close. Well, let me tell you. There's this magical, wonderful place in Sikeston, Missouri, about an hour from St. Louis, that has some of the best food I've ever had in my short life. But that's not even the best part. They have these rolls, and they're the best rolls I've ever had in my life. And to get these rolls, what you do, back up, Mike. You throw your hand up, and from a distance, a waiter or a waitress, hot waitress, named Stacy, who you'll give your number to and hope she calls. But she never will, because you live in Chicago and she lives in Missouri. Anyway, you throw your hand up and they throw you the roll. They throw it to you like a baseball or a football or whatever other sport throws balls. I don't know. It's a blast. I've been to this place 3 times in my life, and the last time I went, I was in middle school, which was a very long time ago, because I am very old. I am 46 years old right now. Just kidding. Because Sikeston is so far away from where I live, I had to do something crazy. I had to come up with a recipe myself. And I scoured the internet before the internet was even invented. That's not true. But I'm a pathological liar, I think. I don't know. Anyway, I scoured the internet searching for a recipe until finally, one day, I found the recipe. And today, I'm going to show you how to make that recipe. And it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be amazing. You're gonna love these rolls. After you make this recipe, Mike, bring that camera in close again. After you make this recipe, you will thank me, and you will love me, and you will send me tons of gifts. Not gifs. Gifts. Gifts. G-I-F-T-S. I can't speak. For today's recipe, I'm going to be making a double batch, just because for as many people that's in my family, it's a lot easier to make a double batch than a single batch. So you can adjust the recipe accordingly. So what you're going to need: 2 teaspoons of sugar, 2 packages of dry active yeast, a half a cup of tepid water, a half a cup of melted butter, 2 cups of warm milk, a half a cup of sugar, 2 eggs beaten at room temperature, 2 teaspoons of salt, and 8 cups of all-purpose flour. Also, what you're going to need is a large mixing bowl, a small mixing bowl, and also you're going to need maybe an additional bowl, just because I'm using a stand mixer for this recipe. You might not be using one, so you might want to add maybe a medium-sized bowl to your list, just in case. A stand mixer or a hand mixer. If you're going to be using the stand mixer, you're going to need your whisk attachment and your dough attachment. You'll also need a muffin tin or a baking sheet and some plastic wrap. Alright guys, let's get started. So, in this bowl here, as you can see, I've already combined the yeast and the sugar, just to make it a little easier. So what you want to do, get yourself a whisk and just kind of whisk it together just a little bit. Make sure you don't get any on the... If you have a couple hunks of sugar in there, just kind of break that up. Then what you're going to do, take your half a cup of warm water, And just dump it right in there. Like that. Right. And then again, just mix that up. So now, while that's getting mixed up, we're just gonna let this sit here for a minute. And now we're gonna combine our milk, butter, sugar, and egg mixture. So I have a little theory about this, about how to do this, and I'm gonna show you that way. And I swear that this way works better than anything. Okay, so first, your eggs. And you can use your whisk that you used to, get all those eggs out. Boom. I want to put your wire whisk mixer on there, sorry. So then you're going to put your sugar. Now, like I said, this way, I've done this way, I think since the first or second time I started making these, and I swear this works better than anything. So just put your mixture on 1 real quick and mix together those eggs and the sugar. 2 teaspoons of salt. And what you can do is you can just do this like I do, and I just do it over the thing that I put the measuring cup that I put the sugar in, just so you don't spill. Alright, so then just dump that in. And again, just mix that. So put your mixer on a 1, and then you just slowly add the butter. And now finally, your warm milk. 2 cups of warm milk. Alright, now that you've been mixing that, as you can see here, our yeast has got nice and fluffy almost. So what you're going to do, unlock your mixer, just give this a quick stir. As you can see, it's all frothy and foamy and goodness. There we go. So you're going to add that into your mixture. And if you need to, again, just use your whisk to kind of get it all on there. Because after all, yeast is the most important part of this recipe. Just mix that in a little bit. Now comes time for the tough part, which is adding the flour. So I have my bag of flour here, which I'm going to open here really quickly. And how I'm going to add this is I'm going to add this a cup at a time. So I'm going to speed this up for time purposes. Alright, so at this point I have half the flour added. I'm just going to let that mix in for a little more. Alright, so we're back. And really the only thing that I've done differently is I changed the whisk attachment to the dough attachment, just to make it a little bit easier on myself to mix everything up. One thing that I want to tell you guys, make sure that you're scraping the sides of your bowl when you're mixing in the flour, because a lot of that flour will get stuck on the side and you won't have it. So what I have here is I need to add another half a cup of flour, and then what I have here is just another cup just to be safe. So I'm just gonna kind of start mixing that slowly a little bit like that, and then I'm gonna add in a little bit of flour here, because you don't want your dough to be sticky. Like if I grab it, it sticks to my hands, and you don't want that. So what the flour is doing is just drying out all the wet ingredients. Alright, so now what we're going to do, I'm going to take the dough ball out and knead it. Now, I know I said you could knead this in here, but I just don't think it's going to work that well. So what you want to do is take your table, clean table. Mine is a little bit floury, but it was clean before. So what you're going to do is put down some flour, right like that. And also, definitely want to get some on your hands. There we go. So get your dough out. And then just start kneading it, guys. Okay guys, so what I'm doing here is just buttering a bowl after I kneaded the dough pretty well. I spent about maybe 5-10 minutes kneading the dough, making sure that all the flour was incorporated and everything, and it was soft and pliable. So just butter a clean bowl, pretty good as you can see as I'm doing here. I'm doing it pretty fast and pretty crazy. Uh, and after that, you just put your dough in your bowl and you let it rise. What I've done now is I cleaned up everything, and I'm letting the dough rise, and I'll show you what this thing looks like here in a second because it looks pretty crazy. It's like freaking quadrupled in size, I'm pretty sure. After you get your dough kneaded, put it in a bowl as I showed, and you let it rise for an hour and a half to 2 hours. Once you let it rise, it's gonna look something like this. Huge. Huge. So, take off our plastic wrap here. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna punch down the dough. See all that air that came out of there? Crazy like. So, just get all your dough. There we go. What you're gonna do is you're gonna take your baking sheets or your muffin tins. The recipe actually says to make this in a muffin tin, but because of how much I have to make, or how many I have to make rather, I'm gonna just do it on a baking sheet or two. What I'm doing now is I'm preheating my oven to 350 degrees. So while that's doing that, we're going to get these rolled out. You can make them as big as small as you want. You know, if you really don't like your family, just give them like little, that much. I mean, but if you like them, you know, just put this whole thing in the oven. I don't know. I'm gonna make mine about 1.5 inches to 2 inches, and I'm gonna see how many that fills up. And also, before you start, you want to definitely put a little baking spray onto your sheets, just so that the rolls don't stick. All right. So that's about how big I'm gonna make mine. Alright, so we have one tray done. Alright, now that we have 2 of these done, what you're going to do, if you have a little extra dough, don't worry about that. Mine kind of cooked on the side because it was sitting on the oven. So if that happens to you, don't worry about it. Now what we're going to do, we're going to get some plastic wrap. We're going to cover these. So just cover these loosely. Just, you know, it doesn't need to be like tightly wrapped or anything like that. So now you're going to let them sit and rise, again, for a Walking Dead episode, an Undertaker entrance, or, in layman's terms, 45 minutes. Alright guys, so here are the rolls all risen and whatnot. Just going to take the plastic wrap off of these really quickly, and then we will throw them in the oven for 25 minutes at 350 degrees. Alright guys, so here is the final product of the rolls that are cooked, risen, everything, all that good stuff. I didn't get the final clip that I wanted to get, which is going to be me testing one. I just had some technical difficulties with everything that was going on. But these went over very well at the dinner. My brother, everybody, my entire family loved them. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of Should You Cook This? And I will see you guys next time. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook, and subscribe to my main channel where I post daily vlogs and other random videos. Thanks for watching. See you next time.